Welcome to Fearless with Jason Whitlock. I am Jason Whitlock, your host. Well, I got a sport coat on today. I shouldn't have done that. Anyway, welcome. It's Monday. Happy Monday to you and yours. It's the Monday after Easter. I hope you had a wonderful Passover. Hope you had a wonderful Easter. Hope that, like me, someone gave you an Easter basket. I got an Easter basket. And it was quite thrilling. It had candy in it. And I hope the person that gave me the Easter basket isn't watching, because it had a bottle of Casa Dragonis in it that I kept, and it had candy that I ate one piece of and then opened all the other packages and threw it in the trash. I'm sorry. I couldn't explain to them that, they're trying to stop my historic run, and they didn't even know it. That they're, I'm eating one meal a day. That's the first candy I've had in forever. Anyway, hope you had a fantastic Easter. We have a fantastic show, and I need to quit wasting our time, because we're going to be tight today here on this channel. We got some sports stuff we want to get into with Steve Kim and Jay Skap Attack. Deion Sanders is out defending his jersey retirements. Clay Travis is talking about running for the president against Stephen A. Smith. Mike Florio is complaining about this MS-13 gang member that's over in El Salvador. Everybody, all the sports world is just going extra political. Elle Duncan had some thoughts on NCAA tournament ratings for women that was kind of fascinating. Every time I looked up this weekend, there was a female analyst analyzing an NBA game. I watched two games yesterday, and I got Doris Burke in one and Candace Parker in the other, and I just said, I can't take it. And I used to love Doris Burke, but they've just oversaturated this thing with women. Then we'll bring on Jay Skap to talk about the Lakers being down 1-0, and then we will pivot and move on. I want to thank Relief Factor for making this show possible. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally, developed by doctors. Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain temporarily, it helps reduce or eliminate pain. In fact, the longer you take it, the more effective it is. For just $20, you can get their 3-week quick start today. Visit relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. Let's get into it. Let's start with a clip of Deion Sanders. First, this is Deion talking about Shedeur Sanders, who had his jersey number retired and his name put up in the rafters in the stadium press box or whatever. His name's in the stadium now with his number. Just 3 months after his college football career ends, Rashaan Salam, who won a Heisman Trophy, he had to wait 23 years. But Shedeur, after going 13-12, 1-8 against top 25 opponents, getting spanked in his only bowl game appearance, immediately put into the rafters or high up in the stadium for the rest of the, I guess forever, unless they revoke it. This is he's like the George Floyd of college football, getting statues and tributes and memorials undeserved. But here's Deion saying that the only reason why this is even being talked about is because of Shedeur's last name. Play the clip.
Retired jerseys can be a sore subject.
Not really. This is the first time I ever seen it sore. I don't know if you know it, but I'm retired, man. I think every jersey Darren I played in is retired. So I'm pretty familiar with this. So it's never been sore.
But why do you think that? What was your message, like maybe Buff Nation and Buff alums who are
I don't have a message. I'm praying for my AD. I love him to life, Rick George. Let's get the elephant out the room. I don't want to talk about this too long. I'm going to just talk briefly and let it go. We talking about Shedeur. We ain't talking about nobody else. But his last name wasn't Sanders, we wouldn't have this discussion. The only reason we were having this discussion is his last name is Sanders.
Yes, because if his last name wasn't Sanders, his number wouldn't be retired. Rashaan Salam won the Heisman Trophy, and it took 23 years before he retired his number. These coaches, man, their egos and the money they've made, You got Bill Belichick running around with a 24-year-old sugar baby, and Deion Sanders has turned his son into his sugar baby. He's made him an idol. Idolatry. And he's making a fool of himself. Let's go to SOT number 2, where Deion is talking. Bill McCartney, who won a national championship while at Colorado, their greatest coach. He just is having a statue built or giving some sort of tribute at the stadium just now. Bill McCartney's passed. Here's Deion talking about instant gratification and how we're in a new generation. Let's play SOT number 2.
That means a lot to me. I'm one of those type of guys who, I'm going to tell you how I feel right off the rip. You know, I'm not going to really wait. So I give you your flowers now. I'm not going to wait 20 years down the street, then to bring you back when you limping and can barely walk or some tragedy happens to recognize your greatness and what you contributed to this program. So I'm thankful that Rick, you know, shot a shot and moved on what we all know was inevitable in due time. You know, the time frame, nobody's going to be happy with it. Somebody's always going to have something to say, but the way we are right now, we're a now generation. You guys are now people. And this is a now time. And those guys deserve what they deserve right now. How are we in the making? This is a new generation. Everything y'all want, you want it right now. And you go get it right now. You don't wait for nothing no more, do we? We want to go, we call Uber. We want to eat, but we go. Uber Eats? Well, everything we get is right now. We want something, we order it off Amazon right now. We ain't in no waiting generation no more. That's over. That's a wrap on that. Everybody in here is impatient. You download stuff right now, putting it out as I speak.
This is the problem with modern society, instant gratification. I'm listening to a coach justify instant gratification. I'm listening to a supposed leader justify instant gratification. This is amazing, and this is making your son an idol. This is idolatry. And so everything has to be right now. This is unbelievable. Steve Kim, welcome back to the program. I'm embarrassed for Deion Sanders. Your thoughts?
Well, okay, first of all, George Floyd, that's a little harsh. That's a little, and
No,
I
it's
get it,
not.
George Floyd. Oh, come on. I think people have their problems with Shedeur. I don't know if I'd compare him to George Floyd, but Jason, I agree with the overall sentiment.
Both of them got statues and awards that they didn't earn, but I'm sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry,
Okay,
go ahead. Let me shut
if
up.
that's the standard, I agree. I would say that Shedeur's rap sheet and his personal history, it's a little bit cleaner than the dearly departed George Floyd. But Jason, I'm just telling you, when Coach Prime said if his name was not Sanders, we wouldn't be talking about it, it's the most unironic self-own I've ever seen. I'm like, yeah, Coach, we all agree. You're absolutely right. We would not be talking about this. And Jason, if I'm not mistaken, I'm not even so sure the great Rashaan Salam, the 1994 Heisman Trophy winner, was even alive when they did this. I know he passed away relatively early in his life. And I know for a fact that a lot of the great Colorado Buffaloes that have that big, shiny 1990 co-national championship ring, who built that program, they're not happy about this. I don't know if they could really say it publicly. I don't know if it works for them politically to be as honest as they want to be, but they are not happy about this. And Jason, you know what I found interesting is that last week, the University of Miami, who I don't think really retires numbers anymore, they have 4 of them currently, they added a few guys to the Ring of Honor, okay, which is like a lot of teams have it. It was Bryant McKinney, Dan Morgan, Ken Dorsey, and Andre Johnson. Now, they all played about 20 to 25 years ago, right? And I just thought it was ironic, given what's going on in Colorado. Andre Johnson was named to the Pro Football Hall of Fame before he was added to the Ring of Honor at his college. And I asked somebody, what took so long? And they said, Steve, the university had a rule, basically, we're just going to induct people every 5 years. And they said, you know what? They said, that doesn't make sense. Let's just start adding people every year now. So there probably is a middle ground, but here's the reality. At this point, Deion Sanders had the leverage. They have to find ways to keep him involved and interested in this job. So if they don't do it now, you never know. And this was, I think, Rick George's way of saying, Deion, please be our coach for a little while longer.
No. It wasn't a little while longer. You're right. What he's saying and what Deion is saying. Deion's on a year-to-year contract. If they win 5 or 6 games this year, Deion's done. If Deion were planning to stick around, he wouldn't need to do these type things before his exit. This, to me, screams, this is Deion's final year at Colorado. If he were planning to, he would have waited. He would have waited till next year, at least. This guy waited 3 months. They just, 3-4 months ago, they were playing a college bowl game, and his son, who had a decent 2-year run at Colorado, we got to put him in now because next year I probably won't be here. I have no idea. I probably won't be here. This is instant gratification because he's not a long-term solution, and he's probably looking at his 5-star 18-year-old quarterback and the kid that transferred in from Liberty, and there's no Travis Hunter out there, and he's saying, you know what, I may have to peace out next year if we only win 5-6 games.
Jason, at that point, I have a feeling that that AD George, he's going to put a pair of sunglasses up there in that Ring of Honor and just call it Coach Prime. They're going to give him an Jason, I have a question. Do you have that much of an issue with Travis Hunter having his jersey retired? Because most colleges will give a Heisman Trophy winner something.
Rashaan Salam waited 23 years.
Yeah.
He won the Heisman. He rushed for 2,000 yards and, some incredible season. Travis Hunter was going to be in their Ring of Honor and get his number retired. I would have waited. And they've diminished Travis Hunter by attaching him to Shedeur. That's overshadowed the kid that actually was the Heisman Trophy winner. The fact that he piggybacked Shedeur off of Travis Hunter, because, okay, put Travis in this year, put Shedeur in next year. He can't do it because Shedeur can't stand on his own 2 feet and justify that decision. I feel sorry for the Colorado former football players, including Joel Klatt, that have endorsed this megalomaniac head coach that they have. And he is a megalomaniac, no different. And for those of you racial idolaters, no different. It's just a different version of Bill Belichick. They both got 24-year-old sugar babies. One's a son and one's a co-ed at North Carolina or wherever she graduated from. These coaches are out of control.
Yeah, Jason, Rashaan Salam, the year that he won the Heisman in '94, I would make an argument on pure talent. It's just as good as the 89 and 90 teams. It might actually have been better. Cordell Stewart was an NFL quarterback. Michael Westbrook was a top 5 pick. Christian Fourier, guys of the offensive line. They had certain guys defensively that all made the pros. You're right about that. But I saw something on Twitter, and this shows you how fast time flies. Joe Burrow in 2019, in his second year at LSU, put on probably the greatest statistical year outside of Barry Sanders in college football history. I mean, it was groundbreaking. And he did the trifecta. He went undefeated. He beat Alabama and won the national title, in addition to winning the national championship. His number as of right now, that number 9, is not retired. You're right. You muddy the whole thing by doing it literally before these guys are even drafted. That is unprecedented. No argument there.
It's nuts. I'm going to make this prediction. We're going to live long enough to see Shedeur's number come down.
Unretired. Wow.
The former player, it's a disgrace, man. It's a disgrace to these former
They're gonna
players.
paterno
And when
him.
Deion blows out of there, when Deion gets rolled out of there, they'll bring Shedeur down and keep it moving. Steve, I gotta keep it moving because I'm trying to do a more concise show today. because there's some stuff we want to do on the Harmony channel after today's show. But I want to tell you guys, if you missed out this weekend, the NBA playoffs, there was actually something interesting going on. The Lakers got blown out. You could have cashed in or off this NBA action with Prize Picks. Cash in basketball playoffs with Prize Picks. Don't miss your last chance to add your favorite players from the court to your Prize Picks lineup, whether it's points, rebounds, assists. Take your pick, more or less, for your shot to win up to 2,000 times your cash today. Turn your playoff hot takes into tickets to basketball's championship series. Starting with the play-in round, every lineup you make on Prize Pick will enter you into the Takes Two Tickets sweepstakes, which could get you and a +1, a VIP trip to the ship. The app is really easy to use. To create a lineup, all you have to do is pick more or less on a few player stats for your shot to win up to 2,000 times your money. Now let's see what my mom and her Prize Picks, let's see what they are for the NBA playoffs.
Mama Whitlock, what's your lineup? Mama Whitlock, what's your lineup? Pick more, pick less. Run your game, you gotta be fearless. Lock it in. Mama Whitlock, what's your lineup? Prize Picks.
All right, tonight she has Jalen Brunson of the New York Knicks, more than 28.5 points. She's got the should be but won't be four-time MVP Nikola Jokic, more than 27.25 points. She's got him scoring more than 27 points. Russell Westbrook, more than 8.5 rebounds plus assist. I really like that Westbrook pick. Prize Picks is the best place to win cash while watching sports. Join millions of users and sign up today. Download the app today. Use the promo code FEARLESS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code FEARLESS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game. Steve, I want to play you this clip, and I wish I had said this, but, you know, I try to be disciplined, and, you know, when I go Nostra Whitlock, I try to be disciplined because if I bring up Clay Travis, I'm bound to say something about, you know, how phony I think he is, and so I try not to talk about it. But I knew that he was phony, and it's no surprise here. He's talking about joining Stephen A. Smith in a run for the presidency. Let's play SOT number 3.
I think that the Democrat nominee in 2028 may well be someone who is not currently involved in Democrat politics. Somebody who's independently wealthy. I think there may be a Trump of the Democrat Party that is going to show up and try to remake the Democrat Party into something saner. I'm not sure Stephen A. is the answer, but I think a Stephen A.-like figure could have success in the Democrat Party. And oh, by the way, if Stephen A. Smith runs for president of the United States in 2028, I might have to run too. I think I would be a better presidential candidate than Stephen A. I think I would smoke Stephen A. in a nationwide election. So if he decides to run, maybe by 2028, your boy's going to have to run. Who knows?
He's being serious there. He's passing it off as a joke, and he's being serious. These guys are all cut from the same cloth. You know, they're very fungible on all of their positions. They don't really believe in anything, and so they're very fungible. And so I'm not surprised here that Clay Travis may throw his hat in the ring for the presidency. And Clay Travis versus Stephen A. Smith would be a phony off of the highest order. Your thoughts?
So, all right. So, So this would be Milli Vanilli against Vanilla Ice. Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah.
Given
good.
what you know about both, you worked at the same company with one guy. You were essentially partners with one guy for a very memorable summer about 4 years ago. Who would you endorse out of those two? If those are your two choices, who gets the Whitlock endorsement? I'm curious.
I've only voted once in my life, and that was this past election cycle, and I will gladly return to a non-voter. So I would gladly return to a non-voter. These guys don't believe in anything. There's no rock of foundation. One guy is pro-abortion. but has figured out, well, hey, now I'm a conservative. Don't let me talk about that. The other guy, certainly, Stephen A. Smith, has a fake background and narrative. These guys don't stand for anything, and I know that's upsetting some of you in the audience, and you think it's personal, but it's not. I'm just calling strikes and balls, having known both of them. They're not standing on much substance, and they're certainly not standing firmly on any substance. So I just go back to not voting because they both have puppet strings on them. And the thing I like about Donald Trump, and look, he may have some puppet strings on him, but occasionally Donald Trump likes to take the wheel of the car. And so anyway, I wouldn't vote. How about yourself there? Well, I know who you'd vote for. You'd vote for Clay.
Yeah, I would, because I think, and listening to him, I know that he's been involved much more in talking about politics and social and cultural issues, and I find myself agreeing with him a lot more. But Jason, I can just imagine you in the voting box just pulling out your number 2 pencil and writing in Ross Perot or somebody. Here's the thing that gets me about Donald Trump, whether you hate him or love him or anything in between. And I get it. I always hear, well, he's a reality show star. Folks, he wasn't just Snooki in a nice suit. If you take away all the stuff he did outside of The Apprentice and his appearances on Howard Stern and all these other shows that used to like him, I don't care how he got started. I don't care if it was nepotism. I don't care if his dad started him out. It's part of the American story. Donald Trump was a legitimate, established, and mostly successful businessman. Not saying that he was perfect. He had some failures, just like any other entrepreneur. You can look it up. But this whole notion that somehow 15, 20 years ago, NBC discarded him out of nowhere, and he's a guy that's just a social media guy, it's not true. So when you say that, well, they need a Donald Trump-like figure, Jason, this is where I completely agree with you. You're right. Neither Clay or Stephen A. Smith has that type of background. That is a fact.
Donald Trump was an international businessman and a
Yes.
successful one, whether we like it or not, and dealt with foreign entities and foreign business and all that. I will say this. Clay has a much more impressive business background than just being a puppet for ESPN.
Right.
So that's me being objective.
Yes.
Clay's business, entrepreneurial spirit and all that, far more advanced than Stephen A. Smith. For those of you that are offended by my Clay comments, you got to remember this about me and about this show again. I don't really have political alliances. I really don't. And so if you're coming to this show, hey, anybody that calls themselves a conservative, Jason's on board with. That's not true. I have value alliances based on my biblical worldview. And, those are lessons. Every time I've entered into some sort of relationship business-wise at any serious level or anything with non-believers, doesn't go well. They don't have a code of ethics. I do. And so that's not placing me on a pedestal. I had to learn some real tough lessons before sticking to that code of ethics. But this is the wrong show for, hey, Whitlock's a conservative and he's a political and he thinks everybody that votes Republican is his ally. No, I don't. And that'll never be the case. Now, I do like MAGA. Now, I've told you why I like MAGA. But anyway, let me keep it moving. I don't want to dwell on this because I know that I've irritated many of you, and you'll send me whiny emails and tweets, and I'm sorry. I just got to keep it real. Before I move on to the next one, Steve, I do want to tell you guys about our life mission here with Fearless. As we celebrate the holy season, let's take a moment to reflect on God's creation, you. In Psalms, we learn that God knit you together in your mother's womb. His eyes saw your unformed body. He saw who you were and created you and knew you before you became you. Preborn Ministries wants to remind you that each one of you is made in the image of God, and life is sacred. Life is eternal. You may have come to earth as an unplanned pregnancy. Whether planned or unplanned, your life has value, and every day of your life is ordained by God. Please take a moment today to thank God for life. And we invite you to remember babies in their mother's wombs. Their lives count too. Last year alone, Preborn's network of clinics rescued more than 67,000 babies from abortion. Your tax-deductible donation of $28 sponsors one ultrasound and doubles a baby's chance at life. How many babies can you save? Please donate your best gift today. Just dial pound 250, say the keyword baby. That's pound 250, keyword baby. Or go to preborn.com/fearless. That's preborn.com/fearless. Do it. You'll feel better about yourself. God will have a little smile on his face thinking about you. You saved a baby's life. Steve, our man Mike Florio. Let's just, everybody in sports is hopping into the political space, and Mike Florio is all over. I think he pronounced this guy's name Abrego, Garcia. He's some kind of MS-13 gang member that the whole left woke crowd is all upset. Oh, Trump has denied him due process, and he's over in El Salvador, and he's locked up, and that dictator, what's his name, Bukele, I think, is the prime minister or whatever, the leader over there of El Salvador, and he's cleaning up the place, and they got this criminal MS-13 who's got MS-13 tatted on his knuckles. They got him locked up over in El Salvador, and everybody's demanding that we bring this George Floyd MS-13 wannabe back to America. Let me read it from Mike Florio, his website, Pro Football Talk. Our country currently is in a crisis. It's blossoming in multiple ways, through multiple pieces of litigation. The main issue that has been weighing me down mentally and emotionally in recent days is the case of Kilmar Abrego Garcia. My concerns are irrelevant to whether he's a member of the MS-13, or whether he should or shouldn't be deported, or whether he is or isn't a good husband and father. The source of my stress is that his case exposes a basic, fundamental threat to our system of government. At the core of all the rhetoric and rambling and ad hominem attacks on both sides, what about BS, resides a core question of whether the executive, legislative, and judicial branches will continue to be co-equal, as the founders intended and as the country has operated for nearly 250 years. Mike Florio is going to lay it all on the line for a MS-13 gang member who's been run out of America, and man, I just don't get it. We sure can pick him from George Floyd to Michael Brown to Abrego Garcia. We keep finding heroes in the strangest places. What do you think about Florio chiming in here?
I have to give him credit. I mean, these Democratic lefty loony liberals, man, they do stick by their own. They stand by their man. They really do. The loyalty that they have. And people say, why are these politicians going over there and sticking up for them? Hey, I don't want to lose any voters either. They're just sticking up for their constituency. But Jason, I have a question. Has he hired a minority yet? Isn't that a big thing of his? Minority hiring, except at my place. We got to have more diversity in the workplace. Not at this place, not our place, but at your place. So I have a question. So if Kilmar Garcia, or whatever his name is, comes back and earns this citizenship, I think Florio needs to give that guy an internship. That's what I think. I think he
should move him into his house.
You know what? I'm with you on that. Housing is a basic right and a need. And Florio makes a lot of money, gets an NBC check. Put him out there in the spare bedroom, and you know what? Help this. Be the example you want the rest of America to be. Here's the question, though, as I get serious. What happened to America first? What happened to that? Again, this is why I like Donald Trump. He's not bowing down to the whining. What he campaigned on is what we are getting. And when you put a man like Tom, hey, go home, man, in charge, yeah, I think that's what many of us great Americans voted for. So again, but with Mike Florio, I'm going to give them credit. They stand by their men. And this is their voting bloc. This is their constituency. And they will go down with the ship.
It is just, Trump seems to be having so much success, and they can't find the issue. Again, they thought, oh, it's got to be abortion. That'll be the issue. Oh, it'll be fighting for pronouns for transgender and gender confused people. And they've had to kind of walk away from these things. I want to know about the due process or the normal codes that were abolished as we just let all kinds of illegal immigrants come into our country. Did that violate any principles that, put the country in jeopardy? And so when you allow that level of legality and you bait people into coming into this country the way that we did for a number of years, well, don't be surprised when the solution flirts with, well, this is unprecedented. We got to do these unprecedented measures to clean up the mess that you created. This is why a lot of people, myself included, is like, hey, this is a controlled demolition. What they're doing to American norms and American culture is just a controlled demolition. And so they've destroyed normal standards, and then they get upset when people have to violate normal standards in order to fix their problems. It's like, Steve, did you ever watch, this is one of my favorite TV shows, and I think you would love it. Did you ever watch The Shield? Vic Mackey, police officer, whatever. And it was a story about like, hey man, things have gotten so chaotic with gang culture out in California. The only way to fight it is with gang cops. The cops had to become a gang and adopt gang tactics in order to infiltrate and dismantle some of the depravity that was going on in gang culture. And so I just don't have a lot of tears to shed for an MS-13 gang member that's been shipped back to El Salvador, and El Salvador seems real happy to have him back locked up where they are. This isn't the hill I want to die on.
Well, Jason, there is a stark difference between immigration, legal or illegal, to be honest, and infiltration. What took place under the previous administration was an invasion. And we have to be the only country in the world that we care more about vetting people that are leaving the country than the ones illegally coming in. It's the strangest thing. And I think people forget. Barack Obama, one of the monikers put on by him, and I don't know if it was a pejorative or not, they used to call him the deporter in chief. If you actually look at the numbers of millions of people that he threw out, it was actually pretty impressive. It's one of the things that I actually liked about his presidency. And I have a question. Did we vet every single one of those people? And I'm just by percentage, I would think some of them probably were a criminal element, but I don't think we got our version of Johnny Cochran over there or these senators to fly down and to hold their hands and have margaritas.
Steve, I got one more topic for you, then I'm going to let you go. Before I do that, guys, I want to share with you all what I've been doing. It's why I'm, you got to admit I look pretty good right now. You got to admit, I look better, improved. I mean, this weekend I was out and someone mistook me for Denzel Washington. And it's because I'm able to be more active, more movement, less sedentary because of my great friends at Relief Factor. You guys have heard me talk about Jeffrey Steele, the country music legend that I do some work with. He's 63, bikes every day, 30 miles every single morning. He's been taking Relief Factor even longer than I have. But we both discovered the key to eliminating inflammation is this little packet 2 or 3 times a day from Relief Factor. You can get a 3-week quick start for less than $20. $19.95, their 3-week quick start. You can find out if Relief Factor will work for you. It's working for me. It's working for Jeffrey. Jeffrey got turned on to it by a friend of his that had a knee injury that couldn't relieve the pain, and only Relief Factor delivered him that relief. This supplement fights inflammation at its root and can potentially eliminate your pain. 70% of the people that try the 3-week quick start circle back and re-up because Relief Factor is working for them. For $20, you can find out if it works for you. Visit relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF. That's 1-800-4RELIEF. Steve, this is my own little personal quirk, my own little NBA story this weekend. And I watched, or I tried to watch, 2 NBA games. turned on the Celtics and the Orlando Magic, and nope, you got the wrong thing up. I turned on the Celtics and the Orlando Magic, and Doris Burke was in my ear telling me about the game. Why can't I think of who the Cavaliers were playing? What am I missing here? The Cavaliers played. Hold on for a second. Let me look it up. I still can't. The Cavaliers, because I didn't watch that long, but Candace Parker was squawking in my ear. The Miami Heat. That's it. They're playing the Miami Heat.
This sounds on an NBA game.
And
I get me to watch.
and I'm listening to Candace Parker, and I'm just like, what are we doing here? Half the NBA playoffs, I got women, describing the game for me, and I went from someone who really, really liked and appreciated Doris Burke when she was the number 2 or 3 person calling games at ESPN to now I think this whole thing has been oversaturated every time. And again, I know everybody has the same, but every time I turn on ESPN, there's always a female co-host. A lot of times there's 2 female co-hosts. Then I turn on the games for men, and there's women. And then when I turn on women's sports over there, it's just all women. The women can all do women's sports, but men have been somewhat outlawed in men's sports, or they're having their opportunities taken away. And I was listening to Candace Parker, and I was just like, I can't believe these former NBA players aren't sitting there. Because I tell you this, if they had a white man calling every or half the jobs in NBA broadcasting, these guys would all be upset. Like, they're taking our opportunity. It's a black league. Well, it's a male league, and they let women run wild, and they get all the commentary from there. I know I'm a sexist pig. I know I'm one of the worst people on the planet, but it just annoyed me. Anyway, you have any reaction to that?
Boy, it's not just that my hair is now silver and looking great, by the way. I remember when it was a much darker hue, and I was old enough, and I'm old enough to remember when Jason Whitlock was an advocate and a downright fan of Doris Burke. Man, have you done flip-flop? Oh, my God. I think I know when it flipped, is when that fan got into it with that player, and the player, I think it was Westbrook, instigated it, and she shrieked, oh, my God, get him out of here. That's come on. And I tried to warn you. She's more annoying than good. And I'm spoiled. I grew up with the great Francis Dale Chickern, the greatest of all time. And in my city was the great Ralph Lawler. So I have a high standard. I never understood what the big deal was about her. She's okay, I guess. Great career. Not going to take that away. But she wouldn't be among my top 10 choices ever to have a play-by-play on NBA. Just my personal choice. The thing about the analysts now, like Miss Parker, this is the reality. For former WNBA players and females to go from playing in the WNBA to calling NBA games means you are elevating. That is an absolute ascension. For any NBA player to go and say, hey, you're going to do the WNBA, they'd look at that as a descent. It'd be a demotion. So when people say, hey, you guys are doing the same thing and playing basketball, that right there tells you it's not the truth. And I'm with you on that. I miss the days of just having former players and men just calling the game. So this is what gets me. There will never be a WNBA player that's offered by a network, Jason. Hey, such and such, we like your work so much. You're going to the NBA. They will never say, no. You know what? I'm an advocate for the WNBA. I believe in this product. I'm going to stay right here. Right? They would never happen. Jason, it would never. Think about a college football announcer. Hey, buddy, you know those MAC games? No disrespect you. Those MAC, no. You're going to the SEC now. No one would say, no, I like MACtion. I like my games on Tuesday night against Toledo State. You would.
I would stay with the MAC.
Well, you did. Yeah. You did. That portal thing's ruined it for you. But no one would say that, right? It's the truth. Can we be honest? So, again, I'd like to see a WNBA player, a former player, say, no, I'm good. I don't want that NBA stuff. Let me stick here with the ladies.
Would love to see it. It'll never happen. You're right. And now I will say this. If the men were smart, I'd jump on board with calling Caitlin Clark games because those are going to have some serious audience. But anyway,
You know
Steve,
what?
I gotta let you go. I'm gonna bring.
There used to be joy in that league, Jason, just so you know. But anyway, get the Skap. Love Skap. Love Skap.
Yeah. Going to bring Skap. Want to talk about the Lakers being down 1-0. And Cooper Flagg has declared for the NBA draft. We'll talk about that with Jay Skap Attack. Next. Men, it's time to rise. Our country, our faith, our future, all under attack. I'm bringing the boldest voices to Nashville. Roll Call 3.0 is your call to action. Join me, join Tucker, and let's take a stand together. May 2nd and 3rd in Nashville. I am Jason Whitlock, your host.
Went without so that he could give you an abundant life. Now it's time for you to evade the ego trip so that someone else can live better. Amen.
It's necessary that we decide to become men of character, of godly intent.
He gives power to the faint, and to them that have no might he increases strength. Even you shall faint and be weary. Young men shall utterly fall. Jason, I know you called it to preach off, but I feel like preaching up in here right about now.
All right, welcome back. Time to talk a little NBA with Jay Skap Attack. Jay, Skap Attack, welcome back to the show. The Lakers got blown out by the Minnesota Timberwolves over the weekend to kind of kick off the NBA action. They play again Tuesday night. They got blown out at home. They're down 1-0 in a best-of-7 series, having lost a home game. It seems like their season will be on the line Tuesday, which means I'll be tuned in with my LeBron James voodoo doll sticking pins in it. Anyway, any chance here the Lakers blow this first-round playoff series, or are you still confident that they will take out the Timberwolves here?
Well, Jason, first of all, thanks for having me on. As always, I had to clear my eyes for a second. I thought that was Denzel Washington for a moment on the other end of the screen there. Looking so good, Jason. Look, the Lakers are in a bit of trouble here. I think they are in jeopardy, and Laker fans should be, I think, a little concerned right now. The Lakers, after all, were favored pretty significantly in Game 1. They were 4.5-point favorites in Game 1, but it goes beyond that, Jason. The ESPN experts, you know, those basketball experts over there, 11 guys picked this series. They picked every series heading into the postseason, and 11 of the 11 picked the Lakers to win this opening series against the Timberwolves. And actually, if you look at Vegas and our buddies over in the betting aspect of things, the Lakers had the 4th shortest odds to win the NBA championship before the playoffs began. They were behind only Oklahoma City, Boston, and Cleveland in that order. So if I'm reading the tea leaves here, the Lakers are allegedly the 2nd best team in the Western Conference, and not many teams get obliterated in a home Game 1 to begin their playoff journey that have legitimate playoff, championship aspirations. Jason, from a historical standpoint, it is mighty difficult to fight back from an 0-1 hole at home. So the Lakers they have a ton of pressure on them tomorrow night. As you mentioned, they'll be playing in their Game 2 at home, and it will always be Staples Center to me, but Crypto.com Arena, whatever the hell that is, will be playing host tomorrow night, and it's a massive game, massive importance for the Lakers. If they go down 2-0, Jason, we might be able to prepare the brooms for LeBron James. He might be getting dusted on out of the playoffs via the old sweep.
What's most concerning about that the first game loss is the Lakers had a huge advantage at the free throw line and fouls called. The refs did their part. The rest of the Lakers did not. Luka had a very good first half and a really good overall game. But, they had the officiating on their side. They had, I think Luka dropped 35 and they couldn't get it done. Is this just a bad matchup potentially for the Lakers?
Yeah, Luka had 37 points on 12 of 22 shooting, and he was massive in the opening quarter. 16 points on 5 of 10. It was looking like a vintage Luka performance there in the first quarter. He was spraying three-point shots, contested three-pointers all over the place, like 3 feet behind the line. He got very little help otherwise. LeBron James in this one, just 8 of 19 for the game, 19 points. A minus 22 for LeBron on the game when he was on the court. Nothing new there, Jason. He actually had a plus minus for the year. He was negative 54 on the year. That's 383rd best in the league. Luka, look, it's a bad look for LeBron, though, because Luka destroyed this team last year in the playoffs. Now, they did make an offseason switch up there. They traded for Julius Randle and got rid of Karl Anthony Towns in the offseason, but Luka beat this Timberwolves team 4-1 en route to his finals run last year in the playoffs. So it's going to look pretty bad for the King LeBron if they fail to win this series here. You know, Jason, it could be a bad matchup. The Lakers there was a bit of a mirage going on in the middle part of the season. Like right after they traded for Luka Doncic, there was this weird phenomenon going on with the Lakers. They actually improved defensively. So they trade one of the 5 best defenders in the NBA in Anthony Davis, by far their best individual defender. They trade him for Luka Doncic, who, Jason, by the way, is not generally renowned as a defensive stalwart in his own right. But the Lakers actually improved defensively after making that little swap midseason at the trade deadline. And J.J. Redick, it wasn't hard to see what he was deploying. He was essentially committing substantial doubles in some cases triple teams towards the opposing team's best player. It was really pronounced when they played the Denver Nuggets, like pretty recently after they got Luka Doncic. The Nuggets, who had owned the Lakers, they had won 14 of the previous 15 games, and they basically blew the Nuggets out by sending hard doubles Nikola Jokic's way. And that's what they did throughout much of the season after they got Luka Doncic. Take the best guy out, send double, triples if you have to. The Minnesota Timberwolves are not the Denver Nuggets. They have a very solid supporting cast. You're gonna have to go deeper. You're gonna have to go beyond just sending, hard doubles or, attacking Anthony Edwards with those double teams, because Minnesota proved in game 1 they have other things. Naz Reid hit 6 threes. He's last year's 6th man of the year winner. You had Jaden McDaniels go 11 of 13 from the field overall. Minnesota has other things to deploy if you want to try to take Anthony Edwards out. So you're going to have to go a little deeper Tuesday night in this matchup for J.J. Redick. And look, Minnesota is a great defensive team in their own right. Bunch of dogs on the perimeter. We saw last year in their run. Luka Doncic does have kind of a kryptonite for them in his perimeter excellence. But Jason, Luka needs help. All right, the battle cry we hear for LeBron James through much of his career, that he just doesn't have enough help. Well, now it's Luka here that needs some kind of supporting cast, something from LeBron James tomorrow night to try to, I think, stave off elimination. If they go down 0-2 at home, it's all but over.
Skap, very quickly, Cooper Flagg is entering the NBA draft. I wish he was sticking around for another year, but he probably just needs to make room for the Boozer boys to come in at Duke, and they may end up with too much talent at Duke and getting each other's way. But he's headed to the NBA draft. He's likely to be the #1 overall pick. He's not going to come in with the kind of acclaim that Caitlin Clark brought to the WNBA. But how good do you think Cooper Flagg will be overall in his career, and then just initially as a rookie in the NBA? Don't have a lot of time here, but want your thoughts.
Yeah, Jason, first of all, Cooper Flagg is going to be, I think he's going to be a generational talent. To me, there's a couple guys that you put in his kind of sentence when you're talking about blue chip guys that are coming into the NBA. I think of Luka Doncic, LeBron James, Victor Wembanyama. Those are guys that I have heard of since they were 10, 11 years old. This kid is in that same kind of breath. I've been hearing his name forever. We heard those fairy tales in the Vegas Select game when they played the incoming U.S. Dream Team this year in Vegas. This kid was said by the writers, there were no camera feeds in there, but by the writers that were watching, They said this kid looked like the best player on the floor for stretches. Jason, he's playing against Anthony Davis, LeBron James, like all of the elite Olympian guys. He's playing with the young collegiate and first-year NBA stars, trying to get them ready. And I just heard he was dominating through stretches of that game. He goes to Duke keep in mind, Jason, this kid he graduated in 3 years. So he essentially should only be a high school senior this year. And he was the National Player of the Year. So he validates all of that stuff that we had been hearing for years, all of the fairy tales we heard coming out of Vegas. I mean, he really showed up and showed out all year. I think he was the fourth true freshman to win National Player of the Year ever. And he looked dominant, like a man amongst the boys for stretches in the NCAA tournament. But Jason, I, like you, was hoping that he would defy the expectations and go back to college to try to right the wrong of that massive choke job. I'm not putting it all on him, but that Duke team, massive choke job in the Final Four. I would think that he would want to kind of come back and right that wrong and not have his collegiate career be remembered for all of time for that epic gag. Again, he is young. He should only be a senior right now in high school. But I am high on this kid coming out. He will be the #1 overall pick, Jason. Everyone will be tripping over themselves to get it and take him. And I think he's going to be good from the beginning in the NBA, especially because he's likely to end on a crappy team where he will have, the reins taken off. He'll have the full privilege to shoot and lead a team from the beginning. I think he's going to put on a show as a rookie in the NBA.
Skap, thank you so much. Great job as always. We'll see you next time, maybe tomorrow, because I still haven't had the conversation yet with the fan reaction to what me and Skap talked about last week. I still want to do that. But also, guys, want to tell you about something new we're doing. And this is partially thanks to you, and it's partially why we continue to need your support. We're going to attempt to move some of the more political and cultural conversation to the Harmony channel. If you guys have not experimented yet with the Harmony channel, it's at Jason Whitlock Harmony on YouTube, youtube.com/@Jason Whitlock Harmony. And so today, if you want to hear my thoughts, and here in about 10 minutes, we'll be live over at the Harmony channel, where you can hear my thoughts on Jake Lang, the Carmelo Anthony protest, the Carmelo Anthony support rallies that went on in Frisco, Texas. I'm going to have Kash Kelly on with me to talk about Jake Lang. Jake Lang is the former J6 person that's leading this Protect White People movement or whatever. He says now they've announced that they're going to go protest at next month at the prison where Derek Chauvin is locked up. They tried to have a protest in Frisco, Texas against Carmelo Anthony. It was a flop over the weekend. And so I'll talk about that with Kash Kelly, who was incarcerated with Jake Lang for the January 6th stuff in D.C. And I'll bring on a guy named J.D. Sharp, who put out a video about this PSYOP that they have going on, where they're trying to promote a race war over the social media matrix. We're going to do that in about 7 minutes, straight up at the top of the hour. You just need to switch over to the @Jason Whitlock Harmony channel, youtube.com/@Jason Whitlock Harmony channel. Be over there in about 7 minutes. I got some very interesting thoughts of my own. We'll hear from Kash Kelly. We'll hear from J.D. Sharp. Join me over there. We'll play tomorrow here, and we'll see you back on Fearless tomorrow.
Waiting for the countdown, coming off the breakdown, standing in line for freedom. Looking for a breakout, feeling like a standoff, nothing in life like freedom. Came like a fighter, striking like a ladder, making all those moves for freedom. I want freedom. No negotiation, my sister, no relation. We all just wanna have freedom. Sitting on a corner, never been alone. I'm breaking my back for freedom. Blessed, we are living, get back, we are receiving. believing all deceiving. We all wanna be free. We want freedom. I just wanna be. I just wanna be. I just wanna be. I just wanna